Hello Python programmers. So in this video, we are going to discuss 11 Python projects that a Python beginner can take to boost his or her knowledge of Python basics. Okay. Now these videos are already uploaded on my channel. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you must be familiar with these projects. So what I've done here is I have merged all these 11 projects into one mega video or into one marathon video. So you don't have to go anywhere else for these projects. Okay. The list of projects are present on your screen and we'll be starting with random number guessing game. Okay. So let's get started.
Hello Python programmers. So this is the video 4th of our Python micro project series for the beginners, and in this video we are going to create a simple number guessing game using Python. So let's discuss the concept that will be used. So in this video you will learn about a new predefined function called random. Then obviously you will learn about the input and output keyword, and you will learn about the if and else loop and some of more concepts which I will show you in this video. So first of all, let's import our library which is called random. What we will do here is we'll create a variable which will randomly create or randomly generate an integer random dot randint. This is the command which you have to give to create a variable which will have a number between 0 to 100 and it will be totally random. So then we'll ask the user, we want it to be integer, and enter your guess. So now here the logic starts. If let's say the a is equal to x, or the player has guessed the right answer, then we'll simply write here, whoa, you guessed it right. Okay. And if the a minus x is greater than 10, let's say, then we have to print that you are getting away, stay close. It means that the difference between the randomly generated number and the number that the user guessed is greater than 10. So we have to say to the user that okay, you are going far away, stay close to the limit. Then if elif a minus x is less than 5, then we'll simply print you are very close. Okay, and let's define the last function which will be just near to that. Is less than 2, then we'll simply print you are about to get it. Okay, so let me explain you here. I don't think so that I require any explanation, but still. So here first we have imported our random library which will be used to generate a random number. Then we have used a variable a, which will store the randomly generated number between 1 to 100. You can use any numbers here, like you want between 0 to 10 or 10 to 100 or whatever it is. Then we are taking the input from the user, and obviously it should be integer. Then if the a is equal to x, or the user has guessed the right answer, then we'll simply print whoa, you guessed it right. And if the difference between the user guessed number and the randomly generated number is greater than 10, then we'll say that you're getting away, stay close, which means that the user is rushing away from the randomly generated number. And then we have this condition: if it is less than 5 or the user is very close to that randomly generated number, then we'll say that that you are very close. Okay. And if it is less than 2, then we'll say you're about to get it or you're very close. Okay, so to test it, let's first print it out so that we know what the randomly generated number is, so that we can check all these conditions. So let's run it, python 1.py, and let's enter our guess. Let's say 34, and I guess we should encrypt this into a while loop, because the number exists. Okay, this should be inside a infinite loop, while true. And we don't need this all the time, we only need once, so that we can check that what is the random number. And we also want to break this loop after we have checked the right answer. So let's run this again. Okay, so the number is 65. So if we guess 65, then obviously the loop will break. So now this if condition is correct. Now let's run the second condition. If it is greater than 10, so the randomly generated number is 41, so let's say 62, and you are very close. That's a bit awkward. Okay, so we'll use the absolute command here to convert the negative number into positive number, and the positive number remains unchanged. Now if you want to confirm that a number remains positive, so you can use this command. The positive number remains as positive and the negative is converted into positive using this absolute command. So we need to get out of this program first. I guess I have saved. Okay, now the random number is 27, and let's predict like 56. You are going far away. Okay, now the first loop was correct, the second one is also working fine. So if it is less than 5, so the number is 27, so let's say 30. Okay, so you are very close. So it comes under this elif condition, and let's check the last condition, which is if the number is very close, very close, less than 2. So let's say that I'm doing 28, and it's again saying you're very close because this comes under this condition. Okay, so let's insert this condition inside this. And we don't want any elif, we want if here, and this should be the part of the else, and else, sorry, this should be the part of the else. So let's run this again actually, and the number is 0, very rare moment, and we want to guess this condition. So if it is less than 5, so let's check for 4, you're very close, and let's check for 1, you are about to get it, and if we check for 0, whoa, you guess the right answer. So now you can see the program is working fine, and this was a program which tests your logical thinking skills. And we have also discovered, sorry, not discovered, but seen a new package called the random, which comes pre-installed on your vanilla Python system, so you don't need to install this one. And this is it for this video, and throughout this series we'll be creating such small but logical projects, so stay tuned to get all from this series and from my channel. So meet you in my next video. Bye bye.
Hello Python programmers. So this is the example first of our Python beginner example series, in which we are going to create a Python program which will tell the user whether a string or a word is palindrome or not. First of all, let me explain you what is a palindrome. Palindrome is that word which, whether taken from any end, remains the same. Now let me explain you with an example. Let's say the word is madam or madame or whatever you say this. If you take it from the starting, it's M-A-D-A-M. If you take it from the back also, it's M-A-D-A-M. So it doesn't matter from which side you take, you start writing this word, the word remains the same. So this is what a palindrome is, and in this video I'm gonna give you the solution of how to create a Python program which will detect whether a word is palindrome or not. First of all, we'll create a variable, let's say s, which will take the input from the user. Let's say enter the word, and then we'll write that one magical Python command which will first reverse the Python string. Now this is the command for that. Now if you know Python basics, then you must have heard about indexing and slicing. Now let me explain you a bit here. So let's get into a Python shell, and let's say I have a string, let's say Harshit, my name only, and if I want to select from the first index or from H to, let's say, H, so it's like first, second, third, fourth and fifth index. But as we know that the indentation in Python starts from 0, so this will be from 0 to 5. If we press enter, we can see that it's Harsh. So this is how the slicing or
indexing in Python works. Okay, so let me explain you in a bit more detail. So in the first place, so there are three possible parameters that you can provide inside this for your slicing. The first is the starting range. Let's say that I want to go from ARSHIT. So I will simply write 1 here and then 0 and then nothing here. So this will start from A and goes to T. Let's say that I want to go from A to H. It will be more understandable if I show you the live example. Let's say that I want to go from A to, let's say, H. So I'll write 5 here. There you can see Arsh. So this is how the slicing of indentation is slicing of list is done. Now what is the last parameter of this string? The last parameter of the string defines the difference between the two let's say characters of that string. Let's say that I want to skip one element after each element, like I want R after H, I want to skip A here, then I want to skip S, then I want to skip I. It's like I have to skip one element after each element. So what I will do here is I will simply write 1 here, actually 2 here, because 1 is the default value. So there you can see H R H T. Okay, now let's say that I want to go up to 3 values. Now this is not a long enough string, so let's create a long string, something like this, whatever it is. Okay, so let's see that if I want to go up to 3 string, so there you can see it has skipped every third element of the string. So this is what the 3 parameters of the string slicing denotes. So let's get back to our program. So here we are reversing the string. Now I haven't shown you the example of reversing, right? So let's say that A is equal to Harshit again, and I want to reverse it. So what I will do here is no parameters here, because we want the starting to be at the start, and no parameters here also because we want the full string to be reversed, and then -1. If you want to go from the starting to the end, you write the positive numbers, and if you want to go back from the reverse pattern, then you write negative digits. It works on all 3 parameters. Okay, so if I reverse this, there you can see that my name is reversed. Okay, so let's get back to our program and let's write the if else condition to check whether the reversed string is equal to our normal string or our string which the user has provided is same or not. So if A is equal to S, then we'll simply print it here that okay, it is a palindrome, and else we will print that it is not a palindrome. So there we go. Let's run this program and let's enter a word. Let's say hello. We know that this is not a palindrome, so it's not a palindrome. Let's say, and let's enter a palindrome word. Let's say Malayalam. This is not the spelling. Malayalam. This is not also a palindrome. What was the spelling of Malayalam? Now let me search some palindrome words here. So I have already searched. So let's search about kayak. It's K-A-Y-A-K. I'm really bad at spellings. K-A-Y-A-K. Let's enter, and okay, it is a palindrome. So this was a very short video, but I guess the beginners will like this because uh, as a beginner you have to work on these very small, or you can say micro projects, to boost up your skills so that you can apply these concepts on some bigger programs. So this is it for this video, and I'll meet you in the next lecture where we'll create something very informative and good for our beginners. So meet you there. Bye bye. Hello Python programmers. So this is the video second of our micro projects video series for the beginners. In this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create a simple terminal calculator using Python. So first of all, let's see that what are the concepts which will be used in this video. First of all, you need to know how the if, elif and else conditions work. You have to know what are variables. You need to know what are input and output keywords. The input keyword is input and the output keyword is print, and you need all these concepts. So I just listed them out for you so that the image is clear in your mind that this project will teach you the practical applications of these concepts. So let's get started. Okay, so now I'm into my editor. So let's create a variable which will take the input from the user, that what the user wants to do, whether he or she wants to add, subtract, multiply or divide. So the input will be an integer. Now we are gonna use multi-line string here. The single and the double inverted commas denotes a single line string, but a triple inverted comma denotes multi-line string. That is, you can write multiple lines using this three inverted commas. So let me show you how this is gonna work. Okay, so let's write what you want to do. The first option is add, the second option is subtract, the third option is multiply, the fourth option is divide, and let's close our multi-line string and close our brackets. Okay, so here we are taking the input from the user, that what is the operation that he or she wants to perform. So let's take the two numbers from our user, that is num1, not x num1. It should be num1 and num2, more relatable variable. Well, you can take whatever you want. Make sure that these are int, because by default the input type is string and we cannot perform any mathematical operation on strings. Okay, enter number, it should be number 1, and then integer, and once again input, enter number 2. Okay, so now let's write the if and else condition, actually if else condition to perform our operation. Now if the user has selected the first option, okay, so a single is equal to is used to assign the value, like here we have used for single equal to sign, but a double equal to sign is used to compare the value. This command is saying that if x is equal to 1, it is comparing, and here we are assigning the value. The number 1 is equal to this value. Okay, so understand this concept. Then what we'll simply do is we'll create a variable, let's say result, and then we'll simply add num1 plus num2. Okay, now let's go to our second option, elif x equal to 2, or the user wants to perform the subtraction operation, then result is equal to num1 minus num2. Okay, now elif x is equal to 3. Now I would like you all to pause this video and try this on your own and print the option, and if you're not able to get the result, then unpause the video and watch till the end how I have done this. Okay, so I'm writing this because you will be unpausing, I know. Okay, so num1, so we are multiplying here, so we'll use multiply sign, 2. Okay, and elif x is equal to 4, then the user wants to perform the division. Just a second, result will become num1, and this this will be the sign used for the division, because this is the modulo sign and it will return the remainder, not the quotient. This sign will return the quotient. So we'll write number 2 here, and then we'll write another else if the user has entered any invalid value, invalid option. Now let's print our result. I have saved this. Now python1.py. Now first let's check our addition. 1 and 2 becomes 3, obviously. Let's check subtraction. 2 minus 1 is equal to 1, obviously. Now let's check the multiplication. 2 into 2 is equal to 4, and let's check our division. Let me scroll this a little bit. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and the floor division operator will return the float value. There you can see that these all are integer value, but this is a float value. If you want to know more about what are the data types, then the link is popping on your screen. Now let's check that what will happen if we press any invalid character like a string. Then nothing will happen because this is not a string. Then actually it will raise an error because the input type here is a integer. Okay, so this is it for this video. You have seen the simplest method to create a terminal calculator program using Python, and in this series we'll be creating such micro projects only, like how to create a program to detect whether a word or a string is palindrome or not, and how to create the Fibonacci series, and such projects will be included in this series. So stay tuned and you'll learn a lot of things in this project. So meet you in my next video. Bye bye. Hello Python programmers. So this is the video third of a Python micro project series for the beginners. In this video, we're gonna create a Python program which will create the Fibonacci series for you. So let me write the Fibonacci formula so that it's easy for you to understand that how the mechanism works. So this is what the formula is. The Fn is the output or the Fibonacci output of that number. Let's say that I want to get the Fibonacci number of 9, so the n is 9 and Fn is the output. This will be the Fibonacci output of 8 plus Fibonacci output of 10. So this is how it works, and it will be more clear when we see the programming of this concept. So let's do that. So I will comment this out so that it's not executed in a program. First of all, we'll create the first two variables, because in Fibonacci series the first two elements remains constant. Now we'll take the input from the user. Let's say x is equal to integer input, because we want that the user enters a valid integer number. Enter the number, and then first we'll check that whether the number is greater than 0 or not. If it is less than 0, then we'll print invalid number. It should be x here, and if x is equal to 0, then we'll be printing out b. So we'll make b is equal to a, or b value becomes 0. Then let's write the operation for the rest of the number, or let's create the actual Fibonacci series. So we'll use the for loop here. For I in range from 2 to n plus 1. So let me explain you this here. From there you can see the formula that it goes from before that number to plus 2. This was plus 2 here to plus 2 of that number. So this is the command to create a for loop which will run from 2 to the plus 1 digit of that number. Let's say that I have entered 9, so this loop will run from 2 to 10. Okay, so first of all we'll do is c is equal to a plus b, and then a is equal to b, and b is equal to c. Okay, sorry, b is equal to c, and then lastly we'll simply print b here as our output. Now let's do some mischief here, and we'll write here the output Fibonacci I guess this is the spelling. I'm really bad at spellings. This is the Fibonacci number, and let's save this and run our Python script here. Now this was the calculator one, sorry. Let me open the folder and run this Python file. Shift plus mouse right click. python1.py, and let's enter the number 9, and we having an error, n is not defined. So let's see what is that error, and there should be x here. Let's run this again. Let's enter the number 9, and the output is 34. So this is how the program to create the Fibonacci number in Python works, and this is it for this video. And this video was a concept building video for those who are new to Python and don't know how the input works, how the output works, how the condition works, and how the for loop works. So we'll be creating some more projects on such basic concepts. So if you are new to Python, you will learn step by step. Even if you are not able to understand fully in starting videos, stay connected because we'll be creating many videos in this series, and at the end I'm pretty sure you will understand all the concepts. So meet you in the next lecture. Bye bye.
Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create the mathematical table using Python. So first of all, let me show you that how the program will look. First of all, your program will ask for the input, ask for the input number for which you want to create the table. So let's say we want to create the table for 8. So here you can see this is the table, 8 ones are 8, 8 2s are 16, and so on. So this is how the project will look. Now this is a very simple project. This isn't even a project. This is like a micro or mini project as compared to projects that we create on our channel. This is a simple practice for those who have just learned or just understood about loop or conditional or the input in Python, and they are very eager to practice this on some real life thing. Like the tables are real life things, so they just want to just practice their skills. So this is a good practice program. So you don't need any package to install like we do in our project videos. You just need Python to install, and now I guess you must have installed Python in your system beforehand only, but if you haven't installed, then I'll provide a link below to how to install and how to set up all the thing to run your Python program. Okay, so let's quickly jump to our editor so that we can start writing our code. Okay, so now we are into our editor. So first of all, let's create an X variable or any variable name that you want, and then we'll take input from the user. So I guess if you have already seen my previous video in which I've shown you how to take input from the user, this is how we take the input from the user. We just write this input keyword here, and then just inside we write a string which will be displayed to the user. So we just want to ask the input from the user. So now in that video I have said that the output of this input keyword is a string. Now in this project we want an integer input. We want a number to be multiplied, right? We want to create a multiplication table, so we want a number. This is why what we'll do is we'll write an integer keyword before, so that whatever the number that we provide, it will be converted into an number. Okay, now let's move on and let's create a for loop. So for all those who are new here, just wait for a few seconds. I'll explain you that what is a for loop and what is this range keyword or what is this range function. So for in range 1 to 11. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are creating a for loop. Now if you don't know that what is a for loop, this is not the video for you. You should go to our previous video where I've explained you that how a for loop works, because you need to understand the concept of for loop and range function to understand this program, right? But I'll try to explain you for loop here also. So what for loop does is
let's take this example only. So what for loop does is it will iterate through a list or it will iterate through an array. So this range function will create an array of 1 to 11. Okay, so why are we taking 11? We want to create the multiplication table until 10. So we are taking 11 because in Python range function the last number is left. So the list created by this range function will be from 1 to 10. Okay, 11 will not be included. This is why we are writing until 11. If we write 10, then 10 will be excluded. Okay, so now this range function has created this list or this array. Okay, now what this for loop will do is it will take this I variable, and in each iteration or in each time this for loop runs, it will take different values from this list. Like this first time it will take the value 1, then execute all the command, then go back to this for loop, then take the value 2, execute all these programs, then go back to this for loop, take the value 3. Now I know this is a bit confusing. This is why I have told you to watch that video first, but let's try to write the instruction first, then we'll see that how the things build up. Okay, so let me first try, then I'll explain you. Okay, so this is the main command that will create our table. So let us take a look at our table first. So what is the format here? First we are writing the number. So like we have selected 8 in this example. So the input will be printed here. Actually it should be x. Okay, we have taken the variable x and it should be x here also. Okay, so let me open this one. So here you can see first we have to write the number for which the table is created, then a comma because we want to add more entries in here. Then we'll write a string inside, a string for this multiplication sign. Okay, so we are simply writing x here, and then we are writing the I. As I've told you, this I will iterate until this list is completed. So it will write first 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6 until the list is completed, or in this case until 10 comes. Okay, then we have added another space. Okay, you can also add an equal to here if you want. So let me add an equal to. Okay, so let us add an equal to and another space so that it looks good. We are adding comma to separate these values, and then what we are doing is we are writing this x, which is the input that we have taken, for which we want to create the multiplication table, and I. Now I is increasing after each iteration. So in the first iteration, the value of x is 8 in this case, and then the value of y is I is 1. Okay, so 8 into 1 is 8. In the second iteration, the value of I is 2. So it becomes 8 into 2, which is 16. And this will go on and go on and go on until the number 10 is reached, and 8 into 10 is equal to 80. Okay, so this is how the program works, and I hope this was very simple for you, and I have a few small projects like this on my channel. If you want to practice your skills of loops and conditional and all that, you can just watch those videos and practice your skills, and I'll meet you in my next lecture. Bye bye. Hello Python programmers. So in this video I'm going to show you that how you can create a random password generator program using Python. So let me walk you through this program. Here you can see that this is the GUI which we have created using Kinta. Now if we click on this generate password button, there you can see a randomly generated password is displayed. So as you know that A strong password has a letter, numbers, and special character which is all present in this password. So I know this is a short project and I usually don't create such small project on my channel, but I just came from a 3-day holiday and I was really not in the mood to work, so I just thought why not create some short project. Okay, so let's, without wasting any time, let's get started with the programming. Okay, so now I am into my editor. Let's import our libraries which will be required. First of all, we need random to randomly generate our characters for our password. Then we need kinter to create a GUI. From kinter, import star or import all. Then we need to import string, which I will show you that how it will work. So first let's create a kinter GUI. So we'll create a variable root and then tk. Make sure that this t is capital. Then we'll tell that what will be the height and width. Geometry, spelling mistake, geometry, and it should be, let's say, 250 into 200. Sorry. Now let's create a button. Make sure that this B is capital. The text is gonna be generate password, and the command or the action or the function that this button will trigger is generate password, which we'll create after creating a GUI. Generate password, then let's grid this into our kinter GUI. btn.grid, let's say at the row second and at the column second. Now let's create the label which will display the password. Once again, make sure that this L is capital. Then we'll decide that what will be the font. It will be Times, and the size will be 15, and it should be bold. Okay, so now let's grid this. Grid at the row 4 and at the column second. It should be an comma here. Now let's close our main loop. There we go. So we are done with the GUI part. Let's create a function which will be triggered when this should be generate, right? Okay, when this button is pressed, def generate password. Now we don't need to pass any parameters here. So first we'll create an empty list. This list will eventually store the password. Now I'll create a for loop which will run for, let's say, 5 iteration. You can choose the length of your password on your own, or you can add the entry so that user can select the length of the password. It all depends how you want to create your program. I'm just providing you the basics. So first of all, let's see that how we can randomly select the alphabets. So random dot choice, it should be choice, random dot choice, sorry. Then string dot ascii dot hyphen ascii underscore letters. Now here we are randomly selected a letter using a string predefined package. Now let's do the same for symbol and numbers. Okay, so now let's append or add these three values, which is alpha, symbol and numbers, into our password empty list. Okay, so there we go. Now let me explain you this for loop. Now let's say that we want to generate a password of 15 characters strong. So when this loop will run first time, then it will generate a alphabet, a symbol and a number. Then those value will be saved in our list, and this loop will run again, and after 5 iteration 15 characters will be stored in this password list. So let's convert this list into a string so that it is easier to display into our GUI. Now here, first of all, I have extracted each character or element from our password list, then converted that into a string. Here you can see str of x, and then we have joined it or merged it into an empty string. And here we have configured our label so that our label show our randomly generated password. So let's save this, go back to our folder and let's run our code. We have an error, row is not defined. It should be root, not row. Now our GUI is working perfectly. Let's click on generate password, and there you can see a randomly generated password is displayed for you. So this was a short project, but if you are a beginner, some of the concept like how the function works, how a for loop works, and the basics of the Kinter GUI is perfectly displayed in this program. So I create such short projects on my channel, so if you want to watch them, then you can just visit my channel, and I'll meet you then. Bye bye. Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create these two patterns. First is the half pyramid and second is the full pyramid using Python. So
first of all, let's see that what are the basic knowledge that you need to know so that you can understand these programs very easily. So first of all, you should know that what are variables and what are values. Pretty simple. You should know what is the difference between the string and numeric value. You should know that how a for loop works, and you should know how a range function works. Okay, so if you have any confusion on these topics, then I have provided the video in the description. You can watch from there, although I'll explain you each line in detail in this video also. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, let's create two variables. First is a, which will store a star or the value which for which we want to create the pyramid. We'll create the star pyramid here. Okay, so our first variable is a and second variable is b. Okay, so a is having star and b is having spaces because there are two characters present. First is the star and second is the space. There you can see it is having 5 space, then 4 3 2 1. Okay, so then we'll have the number of steps of these pyramid. Let's say we want to create a pyramid of 5 steps. There you can see this is of 5 step, 1 2 3 4 5 6, actually 6, but because Python indexing starts from 0, so it will go from 0 to 5, so it will become 6. So if you want to create for 5, you will write 4 here. Then we'll create a variable j. We'll write the number 1 for the initial stage. Now let's create a for loop for k in range. Okay, so first let me write this, then I'll explain you what is happening here. Okay, so first of all, the range function has 3 parameters. First is the starting value, second is the ending value, and third is the difference between two consecutive values. Okay, so this for loop is going through this list. If you want to know more about this for and range combination, then you can watch my loops video, because in that video I have explained more clearly that how this works, although I'll try my best to explain this thing here. First we are having I, which is the value 4. This is the initial value. Then we have -1, so this for loop will go from the value 4 to -1, and this is the reverse indexing. Now in normal indexing, the value goes in descending order, but in this case we are having the negative indexing, so it will go in ascending order. So this will go as 4 3 2 1 and then 0. So let us first print and see that how this for loop is working. Okay, so we'll first of all print this k value here, and we are having some error. B is not defined. Okay, so this should be an equal to sign. So there you can see, as I've told you, this range function has created a list of 4 3 2 1 0 value, and then this for loop is going through all of these items list. Okay, so now let's write the actual line which will create our pyramid. So first of all, let's create this half pyramid. Then I'll show you that how you can make just one change to convert from this pyramid to this pyramid. Okay, so first of all, we want this k, which is the number of iteration, to be multiplied with a. Okay, sorry, b, because we want the number of spaces to be first 4. Because let us go through this pyramid again, and let me minimize you so that we can understand this line by line. Okay, sorry, not this one. This one, let me minimize this. Okay, so there you can see, first of all, we are having 4 empty spaces or 4 spaces. Then the number of spaces is
decreasing by each iteration. So this is what we are doing here. First of all, we'll write the number of spaces as 4, then we'll decrease that. So let's go on to the second value, which is to print the this a value. So what we'll do is we'll multiply this with j. Okay, so let me first write, then I'll explain you what is happening here. Then j is equal to j plus 1. Just a second, j is equal to j plus 1. Okay, so let me first explain you here. So let's go through this for loop. First of all, the value of k is 4. Okay, so this blank space is multiplied for 4 times. So this blank space is created. Then the j value is 1. There you can see we have created this variable 1. Then 1 star is printed. Then again j is incremented to 2. The value of j becomes 2. Then again we come to this for loop, and the k value becomes 3. So the number of spaces becomes 3 and the number of j or the star becomes 2. So the number is 3 and the number of star is 2. Okay, so this will go on until the value reaches 0 or the number of blank spaces reaches 0. Okay, so let me run this, and there you can see this is the half pyramid. Okay, so I'm giving you 2 seconds time to think that how you can create this whole pyramid from this only program by just making one change. Okay, so I am giving you 5-second time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now your time is over. If you are able to find that out, then very good. If not, then let me show you. You just have to do one thing. You have to multiply this by 2. Okay, so let me run this, then I'll explain you that what is happening. There you can see the whole pyramid is created. So let's go again through this while loop. So first of all, the k value is 4. Okay, so we have 4 spaces created. Then j is multiplied to this a, which is the star. So this is initially 1, but it is multiplied by 2. So 2 are created. Then we have added 1 to j. Then again this for loop comes. So the value is 3 now. The value of k is 3 now. So we have 3 spaces here. But for this star, we are multiplying this by 2. So this is already 2, but we are multiplying this by 2. So it becomes 4. Then 6. Okay, so this is how this full pyramid is being created. Okay, these are some of the conceptual questions that you must solve to understand the loops. Okay, so these are the best examples or the best exercise that you can do for loops, and I'll definitely be coming up with more of such videos. Okay, and this is part of my Python basic series. So if you want to continue with the series, then the link of the playlist will be provided in the description. You can start from the very beginning. Okay, so meet you in my next lecture. Bye bye. Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create these 3 patterns using Python. So in the previous video, we have created similar patterns, these 3 patterns using star. In this, we'll be using numbers which will be incremented after each step. So this series will go step by step. I will increase the difficulty or the complexity step by step, so that when we reach the complex patterns which contains like 3 or 4 loops and many variables, you will be very confident and you will understand that how these things are working. This is why I'm moving step by step. Okay, so let's discuss that what are the concepts that you need to know. As we have discussed in the previous video also, you must know that what is the difference between a string and an integer variable. You should know how a for loop works. You should know how a range function works, and you should know how this for and range function work together, and you should know how print work. Okay, so this is what you should know so that you can understand this pattern very clearly, although I'll explain you each and every line and each and every step that will happen in this program, so don't worry. And now let's get straight to our notebook. Okay, okay, so now our first pattern is to create this one. Okay, so this will be our first pattern. So first of all, let's define a value. Let's say a is equal to 0, or the initial value. If you want to start from 0 like this, like in this one we have started from 0, so we'll define a as 0. If you want to start from 4 or 5 or 6, you can define that value here. Then we'll define another value as 5. Now this is the number of steps that you want to add in your pyramid. Okay, and then the second variable is j. Let j is equal to 1. Okay, now don't worry what this variable j is, I'll explain you when I'll use it. So let's create a for loop for k in range, and then here we'll write the list on which our for function will iterate. So first let me write the command, then I'll explain you that what is happening inside. Okay, so there you can see we have created our first pattern, this one. Okay, so now let me take some time to explain you that how this for loop is working. So let's iterate to the value of k. Now this range function will generate a list. As you know, the range function generate a list, and that list will contain the value which will be 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, because this will go from 0 to 5. Okay, as you know, in range function the starting value is included and the last value is excluded. So this will be the list that this for loop will accept. Now as you know, in for loop this k will iterate through all the values, so the first value selected will be 0. Okay, then let's come to this print command here. So print j's value is 1, and then str of a. Now let me ask you that why are we converting this a into a string? Because we are doing concatenation here. If we just write the number 0 here, then this will raise an error, or this will simply multiply. Okay, and we don't want that. We just want to concatenate or want to write multiple values here. So this is why we'll convert this into a string. So first the value of j is 1, so 1 into a, which is 0. This is why 1 0 is displayed. Then the a value and j value is increased by 1, so a becomes 1 and j becomes 2, right? Then the k value will also become 1. Okay, so let me remove this. Okay, so j, which is having 2, into str of a, which is having value 1, so 1 will be displayed 2 times, and same will happen again and again until this list is completed or the number 4 is reached. Okay, so I guess now you understood that how this half pyramid is made. Now let me go back to the values. This was 0. Okay, so now I'm giving you 5 seconds to think that how can we use this same code and make just a few changes to convert from this pyramid to this pyramid. There you can see it is facing in the opposite direction. I am giving you 5 seconds. Just think. Okay, so now your time is over. So let me show you that how you can create that opposite facing pyramid. So let's add one more variable here, and that variable will be one blank space. Okay, so let me first explain you that how this pyramid is formed. So there are two values here. First is the number, and second is the number of blank spaces. Okay, so first the number of blank spaces is, let's say, 4. Then it is decreased by 1, 3. Then it's decreased by 1, 2. Then it becomes 1 and then 0. So there are two values which are changing in each iteration, the number and the blank space. So we are already having the number. Let's add the blank space also. Okay, so we are already having our k variable in this for loop, so we'll use that k variable only because it will increase after each iteration. So we'll simply do k into b, right? And then we'll add. So let me save this and run. Okay. And okay, so one more thing needs to be changed. That is, the for loop needs to go in the backward direction. Here the list created is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But what we want is 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, because the spaces are decreasing, not increasing, right? So we want a reverse for loop. So reverse range function. So let's write the reverse range function. Let me show you how you can write the reverse range function. So first the starting value, which is 4, because we are starting in backwards. Then we'll write -1, and if you want to do reverse iterating, then you write -1 as the third value. The third value in this range function is the difference between two consecutive numbers. So the list generated will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why am I writing it? Okay, so the list generated will be 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So let's save this and run this, and there you can see that our reverse pyramid is also created. So we have completed two tasks. We have created our one side facing and then the opposite side facing pyramid. Now let's combine them both and create a full pyramid, this one. Okay, so once again I'm giving you 5-second time to think that how you can create this whole pyramid. Okay, and one hint is that you just have to make one change. You just have to write one number, one alphabet, whatever it is, but you just have to make one change. Okay, so now your time is over. So let me show you that how you can do. So you just have to add 2 here. Because the only difference we are having from this pyramid to this pyramid is multiplication of the numbers by 2. There you can see the 0 we are having only once, but here 2 zeros. 1 2 times, but here we are having 4 times, 3 times, 6 times. Okay, so this was the only difference here. Let me save and run this, and there you can see we have created a full pyramid. Okay, so this is it. This was a short video in which I have shown you that how you can create the number pyramid. But I know you are not satisfied with this. You must be wondering that how you can create a pyramid in which the numbers are changing, like this is 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So think about it, and the next video will be on that pyramid only. Okay, so meet you in my next lecture. Bye bye. Hello Python programmers. So in this video I'm going to show you that how you can create these two patterns using Python. So these two patterns are also called the half diamond and the full diamond. Okay, now the complexity of this video is somewhat increased rather than the previous video. In the previous video we have only used the for loop and range function, but in this video we have to use if and else conditions also. So you can see that we are increasing the complexity step by step. Okay, so first let me list out the fundamental concepts that you must be aware of so that you can understand video very clearly. Although I'll explain you each and every line in very detail, but still if you are aware of these concepts, it will be a plus point for you. Okay, so first of all, you should be aware of what is the difference between a string and an integer data type. You should know how a for loop works. You should know how a range function works, and you should know how both of them work in combination. You should know how a if and else condition work. Okay, so these are the fundamental concepts that you should understand before starting this video. I have created dedicated video for each of this topic. The link will be provided below, but I would recommend you to watch those videos after this video, because I'll try to explain you these concepts very clearly in this video only. But still, if you are not able to totally understand them, then you can go through those videos also. Okay, so enough of introduction. Now let's go to our editor to write our code. Okay. Okay, so now we are into our editor. So our first task is to create a couple of variables. First is A and second is B. Now let me explain you what these variables will be used for. A is just a initial variable. I'll show you where we are gonna use it in just a bit. And B is the number of stars that we maximally want in our diamond. Okay, so there you can see we have specified B is equal to 5 here, and there 1 2 3 4 5. So this is the row having the maximum star. Okay, so now let's create a for loop for let's say k in range. And first let me write, then I'll explain you what each of the values are. Okay, so now this is a for loop and range function combination. So first let me explain you what is range function. So range function will create a list of these values. So let me explain each parameter here. First is the starting value, which is 0, and second is the ending value, which is b into 2. B is 5 and into 2 is 10. So this range function will create a list which will be having value from 0 to 10, which is 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, because in range function the first value is included, which is 0, and the last value is excluded, which is 10. Okay, so this will create a list of numbers from 0 to 9. Okay, then this list is provided to this for loop which will iterate through each value. Now if we print our k, then we can see that our for loop is going through each of the values 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, so now let's take a look at our half diamond. So there you can see first the number of stars are increasing, then after a specific value the star number are decreasing. Okay, so this is where we are gonna use our a and b variable. So let me remove this print function from here, and then we'll simply write a if and else condition. If I is less than 4, which is the number 0 1 2 3, then we have to print first of all, let's specify the star button here. Star, this is the symbol of multiplication, and we have to multiply this by a, which is first having the value 1. Okay, so in the first iteration the number of star will be printed 1, but we want it to increase after each iteration. So what we'll simply do is we'll add 1 after each iteration. So let's try to understand this once again. So the for loop works and the value in k iterates through the list which is generated by this range function, which is having the value from 0 to 9. Okay, so if the value of k, this is k here, okay, so if the value of k is less than 4, which is value 0 1 2 3, the starting of the star, right? we want to print the star and we want to increase the number, because initially the number of stars are increasing. Okay, but after a certain value, else after the value increases to 4 or beyond that, we want to print the star, which will be the same that we have written above. It will be multiplied by just a second, it will be multiplied by a. Okay, but this time we want to decrease the number, so we'll deduct the value of a by 1. Okay, so let me run this and show you the output, and there you can see our half diamond is created. So let me again explain you what I have done here. This is the list. Okay, so let me create the list 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, so this is the list which will be created from this range function. Then this k will iterate through each value. Let's go through each of the values. First is k, which is less than 4. So 1, so star is printed for only one time because the value of a is 1. But now the value of a is increased to 2. Then we again go to our while loop, and this time the value of k is 1, which is again greater than 4. But this time the star is multiplied by 2 because the value of a has become 2. So this will continue until the value of k becomes 4, which is not less than 4. So this will come under this else condition, and hence the star will be printed 4 times because the last value was 4 here, and then the value is decreased by 1. The last value is 5, so this will be decreased by 1 and it will become 4 here, and it will go on until this value becomes 9 and our for loop is broken. Okay, so we have created our half diamond shape. Now I am giving you 5 seconds to think that how you can use this same code to create a full diamond shape. Now we have done something similar in our previous video, so if you have watched my previous video, then you must be familiar with that concept. Okay, so now your 5 seconds are over. So let me explain you what is the difference between this and this shape. The difference is the number of blank spaces present. Okay, so there will be an introduction of one more variable, which is the star shape, the empty space. So we'll create the empty space and we'll multiply this by b. Okay, so initially the value of b, we have to place a addition symbol also here. So first of all, initially the value of b is 5. Okay, but after each iteration, when we are increasing the number of stars, we also want to increase the we also want to decrease the number of spaces. Okay, so if the number of stars are increasing, the number of spaces are decreasing, and if the number of stars are decreasing, the number of spaces are increasing. So this is what the pattern will be. So we'll copy this here, and this time just a second, I have left this, so we'll minus here and we'll add the value b is equal to b plus 1. Okay, just a second, b is equal to b plus 1. Okay, so let's save this and run our program. And just a second, and yeah, I just forgot that one thing, that we also have to increase the number of stars. So we have to multiply the number of stars also here. Let me show you the image. There you can see first we are having 2 stars, then 4, then 6, then 8. Okay, so this is how the pattern goes. So let me save this and run it. And okay, so there you can see, this is what I have promised you to create at the starting of the video. first the half diamond and second the full diamond. Okay, so this is it. This was a short video in which I have told you how to use the for loop and if and else condition. Okay, so if and else condition was a addition in this video from the previous one, and now in our future videos we'll try to add some more concepts and try to create a more complex pattern. Okay, so meet you in my next lecture. Bye bye. Hello Python programmers. So in this video I'm going to show you that how you can create this pattern using Python. So I guess I have promised this one in the video second of our Python pattern series. Okay, so now let's quickly jump to our notebook to write our code. Okay, so now we are into our notebook. So our first task is to create a variable which will store the number of steps here. There you can see in the image we are having 5 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also the maximum number is also 5. Okay, so you can write any number here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, any number, and this program will create the similar pattern for that number also. Okay, so to take something different, let's take 8 so that it's created a big one. Okay, so first of all we'll create a for loop. So for all those who aren't aware of how for loop works, the link will be provided below, although I would insist you to watch that video after this one because I'll try my best to explain you how all the concepts used in this video are working. Okay, so stick in and I'll explain you. Okay, so for I in range 1 to a plus 1, just a second, let me write, then I'll explain you. Okay, so first of all, this for loop is iterating through these values. Okay, so first let's create the list which is generated by this range function. So the range function will generate a list of the starting value 1 and the ending value of a plus 1. Okay, so it will go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. It will not go to a plus 1 because in Python the ending value is excluded. Okay, this is why we are writing a plus 1 here, because the ending value is excluded and we want to create the pattern for the exact number. Okay, so this range function will create this list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then this for loop will iterate through each value. Okay, so what will happen is in first go the value of I will be 1, then again the value of I will be 2, then the value will be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this is how a for loop works. It iterates through each value of the list or the sequence that is provided. Here we are providing the range output, which is a list, and this range function works as it provides a list of the starting and ending value. It also has a third parameter, but we don't need here, so I'm not explaining it. Okay, so our range, this is created. Let me comment this out, otherwise it will raise an error. Okay, so now we are gonna create one more for loop. First of all, let me write, then I'll explain you. For k in range, change the variable name here. You can take any variable name. You can take here HR or whatever it is. HR is my initial. Okay, so then we'll go from 1 to I plus 1. Okay, the I, just a second, it's not capital, it's I plus 1. Okay, so first let me write. Okay, first let me write, then I'll explain you. This will be k comma end is equal to this. Okay, so now let me explain you this, and we'll understand it by going through each value. Okay, so first of all, this list is created by this range function. Okay, then in the first iteration the value of I is chosen to be 1. Okay, so for k in range 1 comma 2, because it is incremented by 2, so the k value will only have the value 1. Okay, so this is why 1 is printed and this loop is completed. This for loop is completed because the list created for this for loop was only 1. Okay, now what we need is a space after this one. We don't want to write this in same line. If we run this code, then we'll see that we are getting an error because my terminal is having some problem. Let me write through this command prompt. Okay, because we written this list name here. Okay, so let's run this again. And there you can see that all the numbers are printed in the same line. Although this is following the same pattern, but it is printed in the same line. We want it to be in the different line. So what we'll do is, now don't worry if you are not able to get how these numbers are printed. I'm just explaining you. What we'll do is, after the completion of the second for loop, we want to print a space here. So we'll print a space here. Okay, so this loop is completed and 1 is gone. Okay, so now 2 is the value of I. So for k in range 1, 2, 3, because 2 plus 1, 3. So this will be 1, 2, and again the k will iterate through this list and 1, 2 will be printed. Okay, then this pattern will follow once again. Here 2 will be lost, 3 will be here. So for k in range 1, 4. So this will become 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 will be printed with some spaces, because there you can see we are having a space here. Okay, then 4 will become 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this is how it's gonna work. Let me print and show you, and this will not. Okay, so this is giving the output. I don't know what the error was. Okay, so there you can see that this is the output that was expected. This was for 5, this is for 8. Okay, so I guess you understand that how this program works. If you are new to Python and don't know that how this for loop and range function works, then definitely it will be quite tricky for you. So I insist you to watch this video again so that you can understand the concept. And still, if you're not able to understand, the link of the detailed explanation of for loop and range function will be provided in the description. Okay, so this is it, and I'll meet you in my next lecture where we'll create something more awesome. Okay, so meet you there. Bye. Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create this number pattern using Python. So there you can see in this number pattern, the number is incremented after each unit of this pattern. There you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and to 36. You can create the pattern of any length, the length of you want. This is just an example. Okay, so in the previous video we have created a pattern which looks somewhat like this. Okay, so this looks very similar to our today's video pattern, but it only has some differences, like the numbers in this pattern are repeated. Okay, so there you can see in each line the numbers are incremented, but in this, after each unit of this pattern the number are incremented. Okay, so I'll show you that how you can do this. Okay, so if you want to create this pattern, the link will be provided in the I button as well as in the description. If you want to create this one, then stick to this video and let's jump to our editor. Okay, so now we are into our editor. So our first task is to create a variable which will hold the number of steps that we want to create. Okay, so if I write 5 here, then just a second, not this one, 5 steps will be created. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess this one was for number 8, but if you want to create 5 steps, then write 5 here. Okay, so now let's create another variable num and let's write it 1 here. Okay, so I'm gonna show you that how we are gonna use this num variable, but for now just write this variable num is equal to 1. Okay, so now let's create our first for loop for I in range. Now if you are new to for loop and how this string and integer data type works, then the link of all the basics videos like how the range function works, how the for loop works, how the print function works, all the videos will be provided in the playlist link below. Okay, so if you want to boost your skills after this video, you can watch that video. Okay, so for I in range 0 to 9 n, sorry, because we want to go through this range only from 0 to 5. Okay, then we'll create another for loop. First let me write, then I'll explain you that what these for loops are doing, because I'm gonna iterate you through all the values. I'm gonna show you the list that this range function will create, and also how this for loop will iterate through all those values. Okay, so this is gonna be a very detailed video, so don't worry because I'm not gonna skip any step here. Okay, so this is gonna go from 0 to I plus 1. Sorry, it should be I plus 1. Okay, so we are writing I plus 1 here because the Python indexing starts from 0, and if the I selects 0 value, then nothing will print it, and we don't want that. This is why we are writing 1 here. Just stay for a bit, I'll explain you after each iteration. Okay, then we'll print our values, which is our number variable. Actually this is not a string, it should be a number variable. And then the after each end of the unit, we want to add some space, because there you can see in our pattern, or this one, let me close this one, this is very confusing. There you can see after each unit we are having some space. Okay, so if we remove this space, then there won't be any space and it will look a bit congested. Okay, so this is why we are adding some space here. So after each iteration, the num value will be incremented by 1. Okay, so let me explain you this. Just one line is left, which is to print a new line after each line has been printed. There you can see if we exclude this line, then all the numbers will be printed in a single line. So let me first comment this out and explain you this part of this program, then we'll come off to this part. Okay, so for I in range 0 to n, okay, so a range function creates a list in which the starting value is 0, okay, and the last value or the ending value is n. We also have a third parameter in range, but we haven't provided any third parameter, so this will be default, which is 1. So a list will be created of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 only, because as we know Python indexing starts from 0, the starting value is included, and the ending value, which is sorry, it's not 9, it's 5 here, so till 4 and 5 will be excluded. Okay, so this is the list that this range function will provide. So let me comment this out so that it isn't executed with our code. Okay, so after this list is created, this is provided to this for loop. Now this for loop will iterate through this list. So in first iteration, the value in I will be 0. Okay, so for j in range, okay, from 0 to, we can't write 0 here, otherwise nothing will be printed. This is why we are writing 0 plus 1, which is just 1. So in the first iteration, only 1 will be printed. Only 0 will be printed. So this for loop will run only once, because this is having only one value. This number of iteration will only be 1. Okay, So num will be printed, which is having the value 1. So 1 will be printed. There you can see in the first line the 1 is printed, and after that the number is incremented by 1. So now the value of num becomes 2. Okay, so then we'll go back again to this I for loop. Now 0 is gone, so the value for I becomes 1. Okay, so for j in range 0 to 1 plus 1, which is 2, so this will have the value 0 comma 1. Okay, so two values will be printed. First is the number, which is 2, so 2 is printed first, then num is incremented by 2 and it becomes 3. Then again this for j in range loop is executed because there are two values present in this list. This for loop is iterating through two values. Okay, then the number value is 3 here. This is why this 3 number is printed. Okay, then again the number is increased, this becomes 2, and same will happen for all of these line. Okay, so let's run this code and see whether the number are incremented after each for loop or not. Okay, so let's run this, and there you can see we are getting not the perfect output because this should be 1. Okay, this should be 1, and now let's run this, and now there you can see that the numbers are incremented in the ascending order. Okay, so now let's see how we can add the lines after each for loop. There you can see there is a difference between this and this pattern, because this is not at all pattern, this is a pattern, this is a pyramid pattern, because after each of this for loop, right, after each line or after this for j in range for loop, we want to print a line, and this is why we'll include this print space here. Okay, so let's save this and run this, and there you can see this is it. This is what I have promised in this video. If we increase the number to 8, you will get the exact pattern that I have shown you at the starting of the video. Okay, so this is it. This was a short video in which I have explained you step by step that how this for loop is getting the value to create this pattern. Now these short programs are very important because these short programs improve your skills on for loop, improve your skills on conditionals, improve your skills on variety of programming language, which will help you in some bigger projects. Okay, so this is it, and I'll meet you in my next lecture where I'll explain you something else. Okay, so meet you there. Bye bye. Hello Python programmers, so I'm back with another Python pattern video for you, and in this video we are gonna create this this pattern. Okay, so in the previous videos we have created the star pattern using the star key. We have created different pattern from that, whether it was the pyramid, half pyramid, full pyramid, or diamond shape, half or full. Then after that we have seen the number pyramid, half and full, and now the turn is for our character pyramid. Okay, so in our previous video, one of the previous video, we have created a number pattern which looks somewhat like this. So there you can see there isn't much difference in this pattern and this pattern. The only difference is that this is number and this is character. So the logic will be almost same, but there will be only one difference. Okay, so if you want to watch the video in which I have created this one, the link will be provided below. You can watch from there. Okay, so now let's quickly jump to our editor to write our code. Okay, so now we are into our editor. So first of all those who are new here, who are new to Python, who are new to programming, and who don't know that what range function are, what are for loop, what are while loop, then you don't need to worry because I'll try to explain each and every line of this code, although I cannot press too much on every point because this will extend the length of the video and it will also piss off some of the students that already know these basics. Okay, so if you understand the basics from this video, well and good. If not, if you have even the slightest doubt of what these basic fundamentals are, then the link of each fundamentals like what is function, loops, everything will be provided in the playlist whose link will be provided in the description as well as in the I button. Okay, so let's quickly jump off. So our first task is to create the variable which will store the number of steps that we want to create. So there you can see in this, let me close this one because this is gonna confuse me. So there you can see in this pattern we are having 7 steps: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so let's create a variable and store the value 7 in that. Okay, just a second. Now let's create a num variable and write 65 in that. Now you must be wondering that why are we writing 65 here? Because there are ASCII values related to each alphabets. Like 65 number represents the ASCII value of A, 66 of B, 67 of C, and so on. So we are going to use the ASCII value and then convert them into characters. So I'll show you how this will happen. Just stay with me. So for I in range, just wait for a second. Let me write, then I'll explain you each and every step. So first of all, we'll create our first for loop which will go from 0 to n. Okay. So what is a for loop? For loop is a loop which will iterate through the sequence provided here. Okay. So first let me explain the range function. So range function gives the output as a list with the starting value as this, which is 0 here, and the ending value as this, which is n here. However, we are also having a third parameter which is the difference between the consecutive numbers, but we want it to be 1. We can either write 1 here or we can simply leave that because the 1 is the default values. Okay, so this range function will create a list. Now you don't need to write this because I'm writing this to explain you. So the list created will be this one. Okay, this range function will create this list item which starts from 0 and goes to 7, but the last value is not included. This is how the range function works. Starting value is included and the last value is excluded. Okay, so now what will happen is this range function, this for loop will iterate through this list. It will first choose this value, then complete the commands written here, then come again, take this value, then again 2 value, complete the command, 3 value, complete the command, 4 value, complete the command. This is how the for loop will work. Okay, so let me write the second for loop and then I'll explain you that why are we writing these for loop and how our pattern will be created. Okay, for j in range, this will go from 0 to I plus 1. Now you must be wondering that in the first video I have created this similar pattern of number by not including this for loop. That was the first video and my intention was not to confuse you with a lot of loops. So that is why I have included just one for loop and left the upper part, this first part of our pattern, and after that the pattern was created. Okay, but now you know how for loop works, you know how range function works, so you will be comfortable with this program now. Okay, now first let me write, then I'll explain you that how the second for loop is working. Okay, so we want to print the num. Actually we have to first change the number to character. Okay, so let's create a cr variable and then we are gonna change this number to character. As I've already told you, this chr of this number as parameter function will transform this number into character. Let me show in the command prompt so you can clearly understand this. Okay, so if I write CR of let's say 65, then it is A. If I write CR of let's say 69, then E. Okay, so this is how we are gonna increment the characters. We are gonna use the ASCII value of them. So then after each character we want some space. So what we'll do is we'll create a n variable and add some space here. There you can see after each character we are having some space because we don't want to create a mess here. If they are joined together, there will be a lot of mess created and this won't look beautiful. Although you can include or exclude this space, it's all dependent on you. Okay, so now let me increment the number variable. Now we are doing this because we want to move from the A alphabet to the B alphabet to the C, D, E, F. This is why we'll increment the number here so that it is changed into the corresponding character and that is printed. Okay, so now our next task is, actually this won't be aligned with this for loop, it will be for this for loop. Just wait for a second, I'll explain you. After each line we want to add some space. Okay, so let me save this and run and show you, and we are getting an error because this is invalid syntax. For I in range it should be. Okay, let's run this, and there you can see that our actually this should be CHR. We don't want to print the number, we want to print the character. Okay, no sublime text, we don't want to buy you. Because this is not the character, this is the ch variable. Okay, so there you can see that our pattern has been printed. So let's go back to our program and understand that what is the flow of execution or how this program is running. Okay, so first let's get to our first for loop. There I have explained you that this range function has created this list and this for loop is iterating through this list. So first the value of I becomes 0. Okay, so then in this for loop for j in range, the list created by this range function will be from 0 to 0 plus 1, which is 1. So only one character will be present inside. Okay, so only one character will be present inside, which means that this for loop will run only once. Okay, so this A will be printed because we want to print A here, single. Then we have created a ch variable in which the converted character of this num. I have shown you how you can get the characters from their ASCII values. We have stored that character and then we are printing our ch variable having that character. We are also having some space so that it looks more presentable. Then after each this for loop, right, after this for j in range, we want to increment the number because we want the character to be changed after each line, not after each unit. After each unit one we'll discuss in the next video. In this video we are discussing how we can change after each line. So after this for loop we're gonna write this here. Okay, so now the num is incremented by 1 and we are writing some space here. Now if you want to add an extra line in between, you can write \r here and then run this, and there you can see an extra line has been added. Okay, so these are some customization that you can do according to yourself. Now once again this for loop will run, the value selected will be 1, then the I value becomes 1 and this range function will create a list of 0 and 1 because the range function has the value from 0 to 2, I plus 1, 1 plus 1, 2, and this j for loop will run twice and then B will be printed, because we know that the num value has been incremented to 66 here. Okay, so this will happen until we reach this 7 number, because this for loop was only having 7 values. Okay, so this is it. This was a short video in which I have explained you in depth that how we can create this character pattern using Python. Okay, so for all those beginners who are still confused that how these functions and loop are running, the link will be provided in the description. Go through that playlist and watch those videos. That will help you a lot. Okay, so I'll meet you in the next lecture. Bye bye.
Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create this pattern using Python. Now you must be wondering that this pattern looks very similar to the pattern that we have created in the previous video, which was this one. So indeed, you're right. This pattern is very similar to this pattern. There is only one difference, which is in this one the alphabets are incremented after each line, and in this one the alphabets are incremented after each unit. So the concepts are also the same. There is only one change in the code which I'll show you, which will transform this pattern into this pattern. So for all those who are new here, this video is part of a Python basic series for beginners, in which we have discussed all the basics of Python, like what is programming language, what are loops, what are functions, what are all the data types of Python. We have discussed all that in that Python basics series, and this video is also part of our Python basics project videos, where we have created some of the very short projects like these patterns, number, star, alphabet patterns. We have also created some conceptual projects like what are palindromes, how to create calculator, and many of the small projects which will enhance the skills of beginners. Okay, so you must be wondering that I will beg you for subscribe and like. Now we don't do that here. Okay, so let's quickly jump to our notebook to write our code. Okay, so now we are into our notebook. So first of all, let's create a variable which will define the number of steps that we want to create. Like in this one, let me first close this one because there should be no confusion. Okay, so we are creating this pattern, and there you can see we are having 5 lines, or we are having 5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's define this variable to be 5. You can even ask user for this number. It all depends on you. Okay, now let's create a variable called number and then define the ASCII value in this. Okay, so now let me give you a short introduction of what ASCII value are. So ASCII value signifies the number for that specific character. Like our computer do not understand that what is A, what is B, and what are these special characters like @ or hash. So we define a specific number, like for 65 we have small a, actually it is capital, I guess. So what you need to understand is there exists an ASCII value or a numeric value for each of the non-numeric character. Okay, non-numeric character like alphabets and special characters. Okay, so 65 is the ASCII value for capital A. I was confused with small a. Okay, so now let's create a for loop for I in range. So for all those who are new here and don't know what are for loops and what are the range function, then I'll provide the link in the description. If you don't understand in this video, you can watch that video for more clarification. Okay, so now let's create a for loop, and this for loop will go from 0 to n. Okay, from 0 to the number that we have defined here. Now let's create another for loop. Now don't worry, I'll explain you that why are we creating 2 for loops here. So for j in range is 0
to I plus 1. Okay, so then what we have to do is we have to create a variable which will change the number into their ASCII corresponding, the ASCII number to its character corresponding. So let's write the CHR of num. Should be num here because the variable is num. So this will convert the number to its corresponding character. Okay, now let's print our character. Don't worry, I'll explain you how these things work. First let me write. Okay, so we are done till here. So first let me explain you that what is happening here. So first of all, this for loop will run. So this range function will create a list, and the output of a range function is a list, and this list will be from 0 to 9 or from 0 to 5. So 0 1 2 3 4, because we all know in range function the first value is included. This is the starting value, it is included, and the last value is excluded, which is 5. So this will go from 0 to 4. Let me comment this out so that it won't be executed. Okay, so first of all, the value of I in this for loop will be chosen as 1. For the first iteration, the value of I becomes 1. Okay, so now this I value will go into this second for loop for j in range 0 to I plus 1. Okay, so the value of I is 0 and 0 plus 1 becomes 1. So the output of this range function is only one character, because the starting value is 0, which is included, and the last value or the ending value is 1, which is excluded. So only one element will be present in this list, which is 0, which means that this for loop will run only once, and this is what we want. We want our first character to be printed once, or the first line should have only one character. Okay, now we are converting our ASCII value to character, then we are printing it. Okay, so this part is clear. Now let me show you how I can increment the value. So in our previous video, what we were doing is we were incrementing the value after each step or after each this for loop, but now we want to increment after each unit. So what we'll do is we'll write here num is equal to num plus 1. Okay, so after each unit the number will be increased, first 65, 66, 67 and so on, and then we want to print a blank value after each print a blank value after each line. So this is what we'll write here. So let's execute this, and there you can see. Let me add some space so that it's more presentable. Okay, so there you can see, this is what I have promised at the starting of the video, and this is it. This was a short video in which I have tried to explain you how to create this alphabet pattern using Python. Okay, so if you are still confused on how the for loop and all the concept of basics work, then I have created a dedicated video for each topic. The link will be provided below. You can watch from there. Okay, so this is it, and I'll meet you in my next lecture where we'll create something more awesome. Okay, so meet you there. Bye bye. Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create this pattern using Python. So first of all, let me explain you that what this pattern is. So here we are taking a string from the user. You can manually feed that string into the program also, but to make this program more dynamic, we are taking the string from the user and then we are printing that string in the form of a triangle. Okay, so this is very similar to our triangle pattern that we have created for our alphabets, but this is a little bit different because in that we were incrementing the alphabets, but here we have to increment the elements of a string. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so now we are into our editor. So our first task is to take the input from the user. Let's say we create a string variable and then we ask the input from the user and enter the string. Okay, and then let's create a for loop for all those who are new here and don't know that how this input function and for loop works. I have dedicated video for all of this basic concept. The link will be provided below, but I insist you to watch this video first because I'll try to explain these basic concept as short and as to the point as possible. Okay, so for I in range, first let me write, then I'll explain you. 0 to len of a string minus 1. Okay, so first of all we'll create a for loop which will take the input from the range function, and as we already know that a range function returns a list, and that list will have the characters from 0 because the starting value of this string will be 0. So it will start from 0 and will go all the way to the length of the string. Let's say that I have given the length of the string as 1 2 3 4 5. So this is a 5 character word, so the length of the string will be 5. So this value will become 4 because we know that the Python indexing starts from 0. So this is why we are reducing the number by 1. Okay, so this will go from 1 2 3 4 if the word is of 5 character. Then we'll create another for loop, just a second. Then we'll create another for loop for j in range, and then this j for loop will go from 0 to I plus 1. Okay, so just wait for a second because I'll explain you that how these things are happening. Okay, so we have completed the first half. Let me explain you that how these things are working. Actually only one line is left, so first let me explain you the main part of this program. So first, this for loop will take the input from this range function, and this range function returns a list, which is this, if the string provided by the user is of 5 character. Okay, so in the first iteration the value of I will be 0 because the first value will be selected from this list. Okay, so in this for loop for j in range 0 to 0 plus 1, this is why we have added a 1 here, so that in the first iteration it doesn't become 0. Okay, so this list will have only one value, which is 0, because only one value is provided here from the range 0 to 1. Okay, so only one character will be present, so this for loop will run only one time, and this is what we want. We want to print the first element only of this string. So what we'll do here is, now I haven't closed this bracket here, so we'll print the string of j. Now for all those who don't know that how the string manipulation works, if you want to call a specific element of a sequence, now string, list, these all are sequences, and if you want to call any element of a sequence, you just write their index or their place where they are present. Okay, like h is present at the 0th index because Python indexing start from 0. So h is present at the 0th index, and this j function is also, this j variable is also having the value 0. So the string of 0, because in the first iteration the value of j is 0, h will be printed, which is our first character, and then we'll add some space here. This is just for decoration purpose, you can exclude this part. Okay, now let's go to the second iteration. Now if you are confused, just stay along for just 1 or 2 minutes, because as we move ahead the things will become a lot clear. Okay, so now 0 has been removed. Now the value in I will become 1. Okay, so this I value will have the value 1, and this for j in range value will be 1 plus 1, which is 2. So this range function will return two values. First is 0 and second is 1. So 2 times this for loop will be executed, and then we'll print the string of j. So first the value of j is 0. So the string of 0, let's take this hello example only. The string of 0 h will be printed, and then the string of 1, which is e will also be printed. Okay, so in the same manner the loop will run again the for I in range 1, but now the value of I is 2. So for j in range 0 to 3, because I plus 1, 2 plus 1 is 3, and now this for loop will have the input of 3 values. So this for loop will run for 3 times: string of 0, string of 1, and string of 2. This is how the whole string will be printed in a stepwise manner. Okay, now let's run this and let me show you that how this will look. Now this project is not complete, so you won't get this result. I'm just gonna show you that what will be the output after this amount of code. Okay, okay, we are having an error. Let's save this and let's write our text hello. There you can see all the characters are printed in the same line, but you can see the pattern in them: H, H-E, H-E-L, H-E-L-L, H-E-L-L-O. So the pattern is what we require. So our first point has been satisfied, that it should follow this pattern. Now our second task is to create a stepwise pattern. Now you don't need to do anything after this for j in range loop, because this will define the step. We need to add a blank space here. So after this for j in range loop, we'll simply add a blank space, and let's save this. And okay, so if anyone is using the new Sublime Text, can you tell me that how the terminal in this works? Because I've just installed it, and when I press CTRL plus B, the search option is showing up. So if you know, just comment down below, because I'm really confused. Now let's get back to the program and let's run this, and let's write our string hello, and there you can see perfectly looking triangle with our hello. Okay, so this is it. This was a short video in which I have shown you that how you can take the input from the user, a string, and then print that string in a staircase format. Okay, so this is it, and I'll meet you in my next lecture where we'll create something more awesome. Okay, so meet you there. Bye bye. Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create somewhat a terminal voting system using Python. So as the video title suggests that this video is for beginners, it is not entirely true. I mean, this project that I will create will be for beginners only, but you can add many things to it, like you can create a GUI voting system, you can add a response through SMS or an email system, you can even add an OTP system if you want, but the basic concepts of how the voting system should work is what I'm gonna explain you in this video. Okay, so first let's see that how this project will actually look. So let me open the terminal here. So this is python1.py, and there you can see nominee one name, let's call it HRR RRR. Okay, so voter ID 1. Now in the backend there exists a list of voter IDs of the people that exist in that specific area. So first of all, they have to enter their voter ID. If they enter something wrong, then this message will pop out that you are not a voter or you have already voted, because after each vote, after each valid vote, let's say that my voter ID is 1 and I have already voted. So after voting, if I try again to vote, it will show that you are not a voter or you have already voted, because we have already voted here. Okay, so first of all, the program will check whether you exist in that voter ID. Just a second. You exist in that voter ID list or not. If you exist, then you will get an option to cast your vote whether for nominee 1 or nominee 2. Now you can prefix the name of the nominee also, but I am asking user for the nominee name here. And after all the voting session is done, let me first do the voting session. So there you can see that the voting session is over and HRR, which was our first nominee, has won by 81.88% votes. Okay, so this is what we are gonna create in this video. As I have told you, you can create somewhat a more beautiful looking program. You can add GUI, you can add the message or email notifier or OTP system. It's all on you. We'll just create the basics in this video. Okay, so let's quickly jump to our editor to write our code. Okay, so now we are into our editor. So our first task is to create two variables for our nominee 1 and our nominee 2 names. So I'll add input here, enter the nominee 1 name. Okay, then we'll do the same for the nominee 2. So I'll copy this and paste it here. Just change the nominee name, nominee 2, and enter the nominee 2 name. Okay, so now let's move ahead to the second part, which is to create an initial variable which will actually count the number of votes that are casted for each nominee. Let's say nominee 1 votes, which will store 0, and then nominee 2 votes, and this will also store the value 0. Okay, now let's create the voters ID list. So this variable will be voters ID, and this will be a list. Okay, so let's add the number from 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So 10 people are gonna vote in this elections. Okay, now let's create the number of voters that are gonna participate in this election. So I'm not gonna manually feed this, but what I'll do is I'll create a number of voters, a variable, and then we'll type the length of our voter votes ID variable. This will calculate the length or the number of elements present in this list. So ultimately it will store the number of voters, a more dynamic way to create this project. Okay, so now let's create that infinite loop which will run until this voters list elements are ended. So let's create our while true. Just a second, while true. Now let's ask the user for the voter ID. So what we'll do is we'll create an variable and then ask for an integer input, and we'll simply write enter your voter ID. Okay, enter your voter ID number. Now if the voter exists in this voter ID list, this votes ID list, then we'll simply print that you are a voter, and then we'll remove that voter ID from the voters list because we don't want that voter to vote again. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll write voter ID votes ID dot remove, and then we want to remove the voter, this variable that the user has entered. Okay, So let me explain you again what I have done here. So this infinite for loop is working. Now I'll show you how this for loop will end in just a bit. So first of all, we are asking the user for the voter ID. This will be an integer value. Now if the voter that the user has entered exists in this voter ID list, then this if condition will work and this first print statement will be executed, which says that you are a voter, and then voter id dot remove voter, because we don't want that user to vote again. Okay, then we'll ask the voter that for whom he or she wants to vote. So we'll simply create an integer input variable and then ask enter your vote, either 1 or 2. Okay, and then if the vote is equal to 1, then we'll increment this norm1 votes by 1. So we'll simply write norm1 plus equal to 1. Okay, now this same for this one also. If the vote equal to 2, actually let's make this elif vote is equal to 2, then the norm2 variable will be incremented, and then let's write a thank you statement. So thank you for casting your vote. Okay, we'll copy this statement for this also. Now if this statement isn't true, or if the voter doesn't exist in the voter ID list, so what we'll simply do is we'll simply print that you are not a voter here, or you have already voted. Okay, so our first part is ready and we are extracting the votes from the user. Now let's move to the second part where we'll calculate the number of votes after the voting session has ended. Okay, so we'll simply write an if condition first here. So if voter votes id equal to an empty list, because after each vote casted that specific id is removed from this votes id list. So after a successful session of voting, this condition will be executed, and then we'll simply print voting session over. This should be a list, sorry, this should be a string. Now actually this should be inside an else statement, because if the voter id is not empty, then only these lines will be executed. So this will come under an else condition. So else. Now here first of all we'll check that if the nominee 1 votes are greater than nominee 2 votes. So we'll simply write nominee 1 votes are greater than nominee 2 votes. Then we know that the nominee 1 has 1. So we'll print has 1, and before that we want to write the name of the nominee 1, which was stored in the variable nominee. Just a second, nominee 1 variable. Okay, then nominee 1 has 1 with, then we have to write the percentage here, by what percentage that nominee has won this election. So let's create a variable, let's call it %, and then we'll calculate the norm1 votes divided by this norm of voter, which is the total number of voters, the last variable, and then we'll multiply this by 100 because we are creating a percentage here. Okay, so nominee 1, the name of the nominee has 1 with this percent variable percentage votes. Okay, so let me add some space here. Okay, so first let me explain this because we'll be just copy pasting this for the nominee 2. Okay, so if the voter ID variable having all the voter IDs of the candidate of the voters of this area is empty, or all of them have voted, then a message will be printed that voting session over. Then we'll check that which nominee has won. If nominee 1 is having greater votes than nominee 2, actually this should be norm votes, norm 2 votes. If that is greater than norm 2 votes, then first of all we'll calculate the percentage by which that nominee 1 has won. So nominee 1 votes, the number of votes he or she got, divided by the number of votes, the number of voters, by 100. Okay, and then we'll simply print this. Now let's do the same for our nominee 2. Only few values will be changed, and this should be an elif, and we are comparing this for nominee 2, not nominee 3. If you're having 3 nominee, then you can add 3 conditions here, and same here also. You can add multiple nominees as you want. So this should be for nominee 2, and nominee 2 has 1 here with the percentage this. Okay, so let's run this and see that how our program runs. So nominee 1, let's call HRR, RRR. Okay, your voter ID 1. Now I am a voter, I want to cast a vote for 1. Okay, thank you for casting your vote. Again, your voter ID, if I enter a wrong ID, then you're not a voter or you have already voted. If I try once again for 1, which is the voter ID for which I have already voted, then again this message will pop out because that voter ID has been removed from the list. So let me quickly fill all the values here. Okay, so it's getting an infinite loop. Okay, so because we haven't closed it, after each successful session we have to break our infinite loop also. We want to break this infinite loop, so I have to run that again. Okay, so let me open the command prompt once again. python1.py, nominee 1 name HRR, RRR. Okay, voter ID 1, I have to give vote for 1, 2. Okay, so there you can see the voting session over. HRR, which was the candidate, won by 90% votes because I only voted second for 1 entry. So there you can see, this is it. This was the project that I have promised you at the starting of the video, a miniature voting system, and you can customize this according to yourself. You can make it a more beautiful looking by adding some more print statements. You can create a GUI. You can add the feedback using a email or SMS system. I have all these videos like how to send SMS, how to send emails, and how to create GUI all on my channel. I'll provide the link in the description. You can watch those videos and you can create an awesome voting system for yourself. Okay, so this is it, and I'll meet you in my next lecture where we'll create something more awesome. Okay, so meet you there. Bye bye.
Hello Python programmers. So in this video I'm gonna show you that I can create a terminal stone paper scissor game using Python. Now I don't think so that I have to explain you the rules for this game, because if you haven't played this game then you must be having a very lonely childhood. I mean, everybody must have played this game with their friends or someone. So actually we don't need any external library also for this game, so no need to install any package. Let's get straight to our editor and start writing our code. Okay, so first of all, let me import the only library which will be required, which is called random. It's pre-installed, so you don't need to worry about this. So let's create a infinite loop while true. For all those beginners, this is a nice video where you will learn some of the very basic concepts like what is an infinite loop and how you can check that whether the user have entered a integer or a string, or these basic concepts which you can apply on a bigger project that you will be working in the future. So let's create the string which will contain our three options, which is stone, paper and scissor. Stone, paper and scissor. Now let's create a variable which will extract it should be random dot choice. Now this is the class of a package random, which will randomly select one element from this string, from this option string. So now let's take the input from the user. Let's create a variable input user and let's take the input. Now we are using multi-line string here. With these three inverted commas, you can create a multi-line string. So for the user, enter your option. No option, it should be option. Sorry. First is stone. Make sure that the order remains the same. Paper and scissor. Now if the user presses Q, then this infinite loop should be broken and the game should be quitted. To exit, we'll create condition for all these. Let's write enter your value. So now let's take our first condition. If user dot user input dot is digit. Now this class or this method will return only two value. If the user has entered a digit like 1, 2 or 3, which signifies to stone, paper or scissor, then this condition will be true. And if the user hasn't pressed any integer, it is a string or a float or anything else, then this value will be false. So we want to check if this value is true. So if this value is integer, then first of all we'll do one thing. We'll convert the user input into integer. Simply convert it into integer. And then if the option of the user input -1, because as we know the indentation starts from 0. Now let me write this code, then I'll explain you what this means. Now let me explain you. So here we have taken the integer input from the user, which can be 1 for stone, 2 for paper and 3 for scissor, but in Python the indentation starts from 0. So this is why we have subtracted the value from 1, so that if the user has entered 1 and they want the option to be selected is stone, then this will be user input 1 minus 1, which is 0, and in the list option at the 0th value we are having stone. So this is why I have told you to write these options in the same order we have our list. So if the user input is same as the randomly generated option, then we don't want any change in the score. We have created two variables which will store first the score of the computer and second the score of the user. So if the values are same, then according to rules, then there won't be any change in the scores. So if elif option user input minus 1 equal to stone, then we'll have two conditions here. First, if the input, if a is equal to paper, then what will happen here is the computer score will be computer score plus 1. Now let me explain you what is happening here. So if the user selects stone and the randomly generated option is paper, then obviously the computer wins because the paper wins on the stone. So the computer value or the score is incremented by 1. So let me make it a bit fancy. So I'll say computer wins here. It's not wins, it's wins. Sorry, wins. Then print the computer score, and the variable here will be computer score and some spaces, user score is equal to then the variable user score. So, and we'll also add a empty line so that there is a good spacing. So let's do the same if the input is scissor. So I'll simply copy paste this, and it should be elif a is equal to scissor, then it will be opposite, the user will win, the user's score will be incremented because the stone always wins from the scissor, and the user wins, and then we'll display the score for our computer and user. So let's do the same for all of the value we have done for the stone. Let's do the same for paper and scissor also. Okay, so we are done with the game logic. Now let's come to the quit, and if the user enters something invalid, so let's do the condition for that. Now elif the user input dot is digit equal to false, not false, false, then what it will do is it will check a condition if the str of user input equals to q, or the user has pressed the q button, which means that the user want to exit. Then we'll display the final score. Let's say final score and some nice spacing here. Okay, and we'll print the final score, print computer score, then the computer score variable, and then the user score, sorry, then our user score variable here. Now if this is not the condition, or the user has entered something else, we'll simply write invalid input. Oh wait, I just forgot the break here, because we want to break outside the loop, so I'll write break here, and I guess we are good to go, and we don't need anything now. So I'll just save this, go back to the folder, shift plus mouse right click, open PowerShell window here, python1.py, and if we have stone, then nothing is displayed. But why nothing is displayed? Let me see that what is the reason behind this. Okay, so actually there's a block problem. This is not the elif for this if, this is the elif for this if. Small mistake, and nothing happened. This is the worst condition, when you don't get any error but you don't get any input also. I have to just indent all of them. So let's run this again. And if we press 1, then the computer wins and the computer score is 1. Let's press 2 and the user wins, but again the computer score is increased. Let's see why. So here computer wins and it is increased. Actually I haven't changed the output which will be printed. It should be user wins and it should be computer wins. So let's see this again. Let me close this one first and run a new one. Okay, 1, nothing is displayed. 1, uh, actually nothing was displayed because the user and the random output was equal. And 1, the computer wins, computer score is incremented. User wins, user score is incremented, again the same. Now let me make a few changes so that we are able to get when the output is same. Let me write something here. Let's say print lol we are same. Save this one and close this, run it again. Let me scroll a bit up. 1, the computer wins, 1, the computer wins, 1, the user wins. And you can see the incrementation system is working perfectly. Lol we are the same because the same is the input. Lol again same. Computer wins, computer is winning a lot of times. 3, lol we are the same, computer wins. And I'm really bad at this, right? 5:1, really bad. Oh, I'm improving. Okay, so the game is working fine. Let's see the quit option, and the quit option is also working fine because after we have press the Q button, the loop is exited and the final score is printed to us. So this was a short project but a good project for beginners and intermediate persons, because this project will explain you some of the basics of Python, like how the random function works and how the loop works, the while loop, and how the conditions work, and some of the methods like is digit, and many things you can learn from this project. So it was a good project for beginners and intermediate. So this was it for this video, and in my channel I create lots of such projects. So if you love this one, I'm pretty sure you'll love them all. So I'll meet you there. Bye bye.
Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create a GUI based jumble words game using Python. So if you don't know what a jumble word game is, let me tell you the rules first. The GUI will provide you a word whose alphabets are randomly arranged, and you have to tell that what is the correct spelling of the word that you are able to guess from that jumbled set of alphabets. Okay, so this project will be divided into three sections. First is the GUI part, where we'll create our game GUI. Second, we'll take some random words and then shuffle their alphabets so that they can be provided to the user. And in the third part, we'll check whether the answer provided by the user is similar to our original word or not. Okay, so we don't need any external library to be installed in this project. We'll use Skinter and random. These libraries comes pre-installed. So we'll quickly jump to our editor and start writing our code. Okay, so our first task is to import our libraries first. So we'll import Kinter and all the components required. Okay, so now we are done importing our libraries. We'll jump off to our first part where we'll create our GUI. So first we'll create a class object, let's say root. So we'll use root here dot tk. Okay, and then we'll define the geometry of our Kinter window or a game window. So we'll use geometry, and the size here will be 300 by 300. Okay, 300 by 300. This should be a string. Okay, now we'll have four components in our Kinter window. First will be the label, which will actually display those shuffle words. Then we have a entry box which will accept the user input. Then we'll have two buttons, first to check and second to reset. Okay, so we'll create our first label. So let's say label 1. Okay, so now we have created our first label. So let me explain you this. So inside this label function, make sure this L is capital. Our first parameter is the class object, this root, and the second is the font here. The third is usually the text, but we'll use a function to define the text here. So we are not providing the text parameter here. We are just providing what will be the font style. Then we'll pack our label into a Kinter window. These are the coordinates or the situations on which our label will be packed or fitted on our Kinter window. So let's quickly create our entry box now. Now make sure that this S and this V is capital, and also this E is capital here for entry. Okay, so now let's see what we have done here. We have created a string variable called answer. Then we are creating our entry widget here, which will be having these two parameters. First is the class object root, and second is the text variable, which is again this string variable. Now whatever you will provide to this entry widget will be stored in this answer variable. Now we can use the value provided by the user in our entry widget wherever we want. We just have to use this answer variable. Okay, so then we have packed our entry widget. So let's quickly create our two buttons. Once again, make sure that this B is capital for the button. Okay, so now we are done. Let's close our main loop and see how our GUI is looking. So let me first create these two functions, otherwise this will raise an error saying that answer check and reset is not defined. So we'll create these two variable and just write something inside. Def the second function name, and then again let's print something inside. We'll print nothing inside. Okay, So message box is not defined because there should be two S here. Okay, so okay, I'm having an error because this should be fonts, not fronts. Okay, too many errors. Label 1 is not defined because this is LB1. Okay, so I'll just fast forward while I am removing my errors. Okay, so we are done. Okay, so we are done. There you can see that this is the GUI that we intend to create. Over here we'll have our text which the user have to guess, or the word, shuffle word that the user has to guess. This is the reset button. This is the check button to check whether the answer provided by the user in this entry widget is correct or not, and this is the reset button to reset this word here. Okay, so we are done with the first part. Let's create our second part where we'll choose some random words, let's say Python, Harshit, whatever it is, and then we'll create a loop or something to shuffle the alphabets of all those words. Okay, so let's quickly do that. So let's first create list for all our words. Let's say answers. Okay, now this should be a list here, and inside the list we'll write some of the words. Let's say Python. Okay, so now we have created a list of some random words. Let's create a for loop which will convert the alphabets of all these words. Okay, so first of all we'll create, let's say, a words list which is a empty list. Then we'll create a for loop for I in uh, answers, so that we can extract all the elements from this list. Then we'll say words is equal to list of I, because by separating each of the alphabets into a separate list, our task will be easily performed. Then we'll use the shuffle class of our random module. There you can see we have imported at the top, so we'll use shuffle here, shuffle, and then we'll provide that list which is the words here. Okay, so let's make this word because we are already having a variable word. Okay, so now we are gonna append this into our words list, which is the empty list. So let me first write, then I'll explain you that what is happening inside. Okay, so let me explain you what is happening here. So this for loop is accepting one word at a time. This word is then converted into a string. Then all these strings, all the elements of the string are shuffled, and then we are appending that word of shuffled alphabets into our words list. So at the end of this for loop, all these words will be shuffled and stored into this words list. Okay, so we are done with the second part. Let's go on with our third part, where we'll create our all the function which will check whether our answer is correct or not. Okay, so we need to create three functions. First will be the initiation function, which will initially print the random word on our Kinter window as soon as the program starts. So let's call this initial. Okay, so we don't need any parameter here. And then what we'll do is, as soon as the program is run, this initial function will be called initial. Okay, so let's go back to our function. Okay, so first of all we have to call our global variables, that is words, answer, this is answer here, and our num variable. So we haven't defined num yet. Okay, so first let's define our num variable. So let's define somewhere here. Num will actually be a random number which will help us to select a random word from this list. Okay, so we'll use random.randint here. Okay, so let me explain you what is happening here. This random.randint will select from 0 to the length of words, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it will select from 0 to 6 any random word. That shuffled random word will be displayed to you as first. Okay, so let's get back to our initial function. Then we'll configure our label, which is lb1. Okay, so let me explain you what is happening here. So we have imported all these three variables, although we don't need them. We need only words and num. So let me exclude this answer from here. So we are providing text to our label1 label widget. As I have told you while I was creating that label, that we'll define the text afterwards. So we are doing this here, and this label will have the value as the randomly arranged word of this randomly created number. So let me try to explain you in simple words. Let's say that the randomly generated number is 1. Okay, so the user will get words of 1 or the second element of this words list, that is the random arrangement of YouTube. Okay, so now I guess you are quite comfortable with this line here. So let's move ahead and create our remaining two functions, that is to check the answer and to reset. Okay, so we need all our three variables here. So this should be global. So this should be global here. So we are calling all the global values that is provided outside this function. And then what we'll do is we'll get the answer from our entry widget also. So what we'll do here is we'll do even.get, and let's store this into a variable. Let's say user input. Okay, so this is the input provided by the user, and then we'll use a if and else condition to compare whether the answer provided by the user is similar to the word present in our answers list or not. Okay, so let me write the code first, then I'll explain you. Okay, so just pay attention what I'm speaking. So first of all, we'll compare that whether the answer provided by the user is similar to the answer of the number, that is the correctly ordered alphabet list to that randomly created number that was provided to the user. If that is right, which means that user has guessed the right answer, then it will display a message saying that success, yep, this is the right answer. Okay, so success is the small sign that will be displayed just beside this text, and then we'll reset the value. Now resetting the value will clear your entry box and then provide you with a new word. So we'll write that function in just a bit. First, let's understand this. If the answer is not correct, then this message box will be displayed. Nope, this isn't the right answer, and the entry box will be emptied. Okay, so let's create our reset function, which will provide us with a new alphabet. Okay, this reset function is called, which means that we have to choose a new word from this list also. So we'll do this random.randint again. So I'll just uh, copy and paste this here, and then what we'll do is we'll configure our label again with the changed alphabet from our list, the randomly arranged alphabet. So text is equal to randomly arranged number, that is our num variable, and then we also need to empty our entry box. So let's save this and run our program. This is pretty obvious because my code never runs at the first go. So let me check. Answers is not defined. Okay, because this is answer here. Let's run this again, and okay, so our GUI is working fine and our initial function is also working fine. So let's see whether our rest2 function are working fine or not. Okay, so I have entered Python and we are having an error saying that answers is not defined once again, and spelling mistake. This should be answer here, and anywhere else I have made this mistake. Okay, so we'll find that out. Let me close this one. Let's run this again. Okay, so this is India. I'm pretty good at this game. String variable does not support indexing. Okay, so we are using the same string variable here. This was the problem. So let me name this as answer 1 2. Now I don't think there should be an error. COFFEE. Yep, this is the right answer, so it's working fine. Reset is not defined. So let's see, because this R should be capital here. Okay, so let's see Python again. Okay, if I reset, then the alphabets are changed. Okay, so working fine. If I write something else, okay, so the else function is working fine. Okay, so this was the project that I have promised you to create at the starting of the video only. So this is it. This was not a very great project, but still it was a good project to test your many skills, like how you work on list, some of the Python packages that comes pre-installed, so we have explored them also. So this is it, and I'll meet you in my next lecture where where we'll create something more awesome. Okay, so meet you there. Bye bye.
Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create a Python program which will do encryption for you using the Caesar cipher algorithm. Now, for the people who are new to this cybersecurity world, let me explain you a few terms which we'll be using in our video, like Caesar cipher, encryption, decryption, and ciphertext. So first of all, we'll start with encryption and decryption. So let's say that you want to send a message from a sender and a receiver will receive the message. Now there are chances that a unauthorized person, which we call hacker in a fancy word, may try to access or see that message. Now you don't want that, right? So what we'll do is we'll encrypt the data, or we'll change the data into something meaningless. Like if you want to say hey, you will write like JHG or whatever it is, which doesn't mean anything but has a logic. So what I mean is we'll change the data into something meaningless so that the hacker won't recognize what the message is, but when it is received at the receiver end, it is changed again back to the normal text message. So this makes the message private or very much confidential. So there are like thousands of methods to create a ciphertext or to do encryption and decryption, but the most easiest and the most popular for teaching purpose algorithm is Caesar cipher. Now let me try to explain you how Caesar cipher works. Let's say that you have a key which is an integer, which is 2, 3, 4, anything it can be. The key is known by the sender and the receiver. Let's say that the key is 2 and the sender wants to send the message A. So with the key being 2 and the source text message being A, the cipher text which will be created will be C. Now if A is our source message, then B is 1 and C is 2, hence C will be sent to the receiver where it will be decrypted back again to A. Let me show you using this program that how this will done, and you will be able to understand more about Caesar cipher. So first of all, let's see mathematically what is Caesar cipher. I'll comment this out so that it is not executed as a part of a program. Let's say that C is the cipher text and the formula to convert is minus n and modulo by 26. Because we have 26 alphabets, X is the ASCII key of the source message or a plain text, and N is our key. So let's create the program for that. First of all, we'll take input from the user. Let's say that we are taking text. Then we'll take the key. Let me make sure that the user enter a integer key. Enter the shift key. So this should be an string. Now we want to print the original string is, and it is text, and we want to print the encrypted
messages, and then we'll call a function here, let's say encrypted, and we'll pass two values, which is our text and the key. So let's create that function, def and encrypted, and we have our string and s. So let's create a variable cipher, which will be a empty string. Now for character in string, now we are extracting each character from our string. If the character is equal to it should be CAR, because CHR is a keyword. Now if it is empty, then we'll simply write cipher is equal to cipher plus CHAR, because it is empty, so no change will happen. Elif CHAR is upper, which means that if the string character is of uppercase, then the ciphertext created will be cipher plus. Now let me write this code, after that I'll explain you. Okay, so now let's take a look at the formula again. First of all, we have extracted the order of our character, which is that if it is A, the order of our character will be 1. If it is B, then 2, C, then 3. So we have extracted the integer order of our character. Then we have our shift, which the user will provide us. Then we have subtracted it with 65, because if a character is of uppercase, then it starts from 65. The ASCII value of all the uppercase alphabets starts from 65. Then obviously the modulo of 26, and we have to add it back to 65, because as I've told you, the ASCII value of uppercase character starts from 65. Now else, obviously the left character will be of small, so the cipher will be cipher plus. So let me write it again. I'll just copy paste this here and make a few changes, because the small alphabet starts from 97. So the final task is to return the cipher. So let's save this, and first let me take a look if everything looks alright or not. So it looks alright for me. Let's save this and go to our folder. Shift plus mouse right click, open PowerShell window here, python1.py. let's press enter. And the user asks for a message, let's say hello. Now the shift key, let's say 2, and we have an error, str object has no attribute as encrypted at the line 22, because it should be a comma. Once again, hello, The key is 2, and I'm again having an error. Shift is not defined because this is S. I make these mistakes a lot. Okay, so there you can see that hello is converted as JGNNQ. So this seems meaningless, and if a hacker is trying to sneak into my network and gets this message, then there is nothing that he can understand from this message, right? Now, after 2 characters of H we have J, after 2 characters of E we have G, after 2 character of L we have N, and after 2 character of Q of O we have Q. So this was the simplest algorithm that is used for the encryption of messages. There are many other algorithms also, like render forest and many other, but this was the simplest and it's very popular for the education purpose. So I thought, why not to include this into my short video series. So this was it for this video, and I hope you like it. And if you like that, and I'm pretty sure that you will like all of my videos, so I'll meet you there. Bye bye.